Hello everyone, welcome to the first edition of the Breakeven Diaries 2022. The Breakeven Diaries is a new initiative by the Entrepreneurship Cell of SIMSREE and an online interview talk show series where our aim lies to understand the mindset of entrepreneurs, their journey, and integrate the entrepreneurship among the youngsters. So, to cater to our vision today, we have Mrs. Nidhi Banthia Mehta. Over to you, Nikhil.
Yeah. So to give a brief introduction, ma'am is an MBA graduate from SPGen Institute of Management. She passed out from there in 1999. Uh, After that, for 2 years, she worked in McKinsey and Company. In 2002, she quit her job to follow her passion for dance fitness, and she incorporated a company called Bollybits in the USA. After that, she sold that company in 2005, but re-established it in Asia, which currently runs in Singapore, Bangladesh, France, Indonesia, Thailand, USA, and India. Uh, Nidhi ma'am has received a very distinguished Women's Economic Forum Award for iconic women creating a better world for all, for her contribution in the field of corporate wellness and well-being, transforming leadership. And she was also among the Niti Aayog's top 100 women transforming India. After that, ma'am also had a e-commerce baby and kids brand called Needybee. uh, and currently, ma'am is on to her third venture called Self-Achievers, which is a socially driven consulting firm aimed to empower startups, individuals, entrepreneurs, professionals, and businesses as such, with personal and professional branding solutions, digital marketing, social media management, and business consulting solutions. Yeah. Ma'am is also a growth strategy and marketing consultant for many startups. She is also a TEDx speaker uh, on entrepreneurship. She also engages with many organizations like UN Women, AIC BIMTech, Atal Incubation Center, VHub, AIC Manipal, AIC VGU, AIC 360 INC as a business consultant. She consults the budding and upcoming entrepreneurs there. And in her free time, the Nidhi ma'am also finds time to write and indulge in adventure sports. She is also a published author, yoga practitioner, and a mentor, educator, and also an evangelist for refugee entrepreneurship and women entrepreneurship. Ma'am's journey has also been featured in the book The Magic Within. So to start off, ma'am, first of all, very warm welcome to this first edition of Breakeven Diaries. This is a new, like we are starting a new season. This is the first edition of Junior ESL SIMSREE. Once again, warm welcome to you. I would like to start with a question about how you what ha- how I mean, can you tell us a brief about your journey right from your childhood to then graduating from LSR, SPJN, working in a in a corporate job, and then following your passion and going into entrepreneurship, ma'am?
Sure. Firstly, thank you so much, both of you, and thank you for doing these series, which can kind of, the stories help to inspire and motivate other students, right? And others who hear about them. So, I am a boarding school child. So, at the age of 7, I went to a boarding school. So, I was very young then. And that was the first time I think I learned what life has to be when you're just left out on your own and you have to just swim through the deep whether you know how to swim or not, and all your instinctive skills come out. That really molded my character and who I am today. I went to La Martiniere for girls in Calcutta for schooling. And when I was 7 years old, when I went to that school, I'll tell you this, I didn't even know how to speak properly in English. I was a very shy and quiet child, completely non ambitious, one of the mid benchers. I won't call myself backbencher, but mid benchers who lacked confidence and courage because I was suddenly moved from a small town in Madhya Pradesh called Satna to this really fancy big metropolitan, and that to one of the top schools in India where everyone spoke such good English. The teachers expected so much out of you, and I felt, where have I come? How am I going to survive this? But I have been very, very fortunate, and I'm very, very grateful for the set of friends I made, because that was my family there. And I think it's my friends who taught me how to speak in English. My friends gave me the wings to fly. They encouraged me. They saw a lot of my positives and kept saying that, oh, you can do this, and helped me with my studies. And I became one of the top performing students in school. So, of course, one of the reasons for my parents to put me in a boarding school was because academically they wanted me to push my boundaries, and I wanted to fulfill their vision or their dreams. So I was just focused on being a very good academic student. As you know that DU has very high cutoff in their percentage when they take in, and I wanted to study BCom honors. So fortunately in my ISC exam I scored very well, and it was actually a piece of cake to get into LSR for me. And I got into LSR, I got into the hostel, but of course my mother is extremely strict and she wouldn't let me go to the hostel. So I had to stay with my relatives and spend my time there. LSR is the first time when I actually was introduced to something called an aspect of a business. So I had an aunt who visited from Malaysia, and she would do catalog sales over there, and it was a beautiful costume jewelry brand. And she asked me, she said, you go to this college, and she always saw me dress up. I love to dress up. And she said, I'm sure your friends are also like this. So why don't you take my catalog jewelry, see if they want to buy, and I'll give you a commission, 25%. And I thought, wow, what a great idea. I get to earn my own money. That would be my introduction first to earning my own. And I took that and I went to college. And LSR has very stylish girls. And I had a great group of friends, and people just bought. They were like, oh my God, this is so pretty. This is nice. I like what you're wearing. And I sold a lot, and I made a lot in commissions, and it felt great. And then after LSR, my parents were very clear. If I stop studying, they'll get me married. So it was not that I was ambitious and I wanted to do an MBA and I wanted to go in for CA. I just wanted to dodge marriage. So I kept studying. And that's the reason I gave exams for the top 10 MBA schools, and I got into SP Gen. So I took that route. I loved my 2 years in the college, more so because that was my first insight into how independent people are. I was one of the youngest students there, fresher straight out of college, but everyone had come with 3 years or 5 years or 2 years of experience. And guys would talk, about how somebody broke their PPF to pay for their education, how somebody had taken an education loan, and I would sit there thinking, oh my God, I'm such a privileged, thankless child. Like, my parents are just paying and paying for my education, and I want to be like one of them. I want to feel good about myself, that I'm standing on my own feet. So I asked my parents that I want to take an educational loan and study. And it was a big joke in my house that now she wants to take a loan and study. So my dad said, look, we are paying for this. You take it as a loan from us, and you can pay it back whenever you want, once thing. After I finished B school, and the other joke in my B school was, because I used to tell everyone, it was a laughing, standing fact for everyone that, oh, she's come here just because she wanted to dodge marriage. It's not that she wanted to do MBA. So everyone would tell me, okay, so you're not going to sit for placements. Your parents don't want you to work. And they would laugh that when we graduate, there's going to be like a guy with a garland standing in the hallway, waiting to get, to take her, to hitch her. And I actually never, I didn't have a thought to apply for any jobs because I knew my parents would not. And I remember that was the first year McKinsey had invited resumes from our campus. And they wanted to take resumes from the finance field. And I was one of the Fin students, so 4 of us got shortlisted. And 2 of us were offered the job. I'm the one who took it. I think that was my first, probably, lifeline of freedom and creating a life of my own. And of course, McKinsey being McKinsey, then my parents said, okay, we'll give you a year to work and get a stamp on your resume, and then we'll get you married. And I said, okay, fine, that's another year that I bought for myself. When I worked, that company gives wings to your abilities and skill sets. When they interviewed me for finance. When they offered me the job, I said to them, I don't want to take corporate finance as my field. I don't like finance. I don't enjoy it. What I love is marketing, and I want to see if I can continue my career in marketing. And that's how I moved to marketing. And I have realized over time that my skill set, my interest, my natural flair is in being able to sell, which I started in the second year of college. Like my mother jokes, I can sell a hairpin to a bald man. I'm so good at it. And I'm relentless. I can make cold calls and probably have a 99 to 100% strike rate. I I don't feel shy. I'm very good with networking. I know what my strengths are. And it comes so naturally to me to be creative about marketing. So I don't look at it as a subject and this is how I've been taught and I should do. But for me, it's always out of the box thinking. And that is why I feel I've been very successful in my ventures because I've been able to always take a very different approach to how to sell and how to make revenue. So yeah, that's been my journey. I moved to Silicon Valley exactly after I got married. My husband was based there, and it's very easy to get transferred within McKinsey from office to office. But I took a break because my husband would travel a lot, and I wanted to take some time to get to know him. Ours was an arranged marriage, and that's the time I saw this opportunity in Bay Area where I said, my God, this place is like a mini, they actually call it Gandhi Nagar, some parts of it. It's full of Indians. Every company has Indians, and every person who's not an Indian absolutely has somebody in their friend circle or in their work group who's an Indian. So the exposure to Indian culture is very high, and everyone associates India with Bollywood. So, that's the time I realized that I could take in this concept of dance fitness and wellness, but do it through the medium of dancing because I love to dance. And I realized through, my own, uh, what do you call it, market testing, that I'm a wonderful teacher. So it's not just dancing, I have the skill set of ability to teach and have the business acumen to create a big venture out of it. So why not marry all three and take a leap of faith? So despite resistance from definitely my parents who thought, what is wrong with you? Why would you take up dancing as a career versus working in a consulting firm? I took that leap of faith and I am so glad I did it because 20 years later I'm still dancing.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Well, that was a quite inspirational and motivational journey. I think I'd been like I would have been so inspirational in like 10 to 15 years. So moving ahead, what was starting from 2002? What was the motivation like starting the like from 2002? Then many startups and still here the self achievers, your current startup.
Yeah. So see, 2002, honestly, the motivation was just to stay busy. I'm a person who has this, I call it, I don't know what to say, but I just can't sit still. I don't like watching television. I'm not a movie buff. I don't binge on social media. I always need to do something productive and purposeful with my time. And I think in some ways that's also a hindrance because I'm always doing something. There's always this sense of wanting. So I think the opportunity that got created for dance, I always say that I was so young then that I didn't overanalyze the idea to paralyze it. And I always say this to students, don't overanalyze to paralyze yourself. Because sometimes, and as we grow older, we put so much thought into an idea that even before giving it a chance, we shelve it. Because we think, oh no, because you will find a lot of reasons why you shouldn't do it. I focused only on the reasons why I should do it. And my other thing was I had a lot of support from my husband. I have to give this to him. My first jump into entrepreneurship would not have happened had he not been supportive, in the sense that he was just open to do whatever you want. You know, there was never this thing that, oh, you must have a career and I must have a career and we should do this. It was like, as long as you're not idling your time away, do whatever you want. You know, it's never about the money and I'm taking care of all of that. So you do what makes you happy. So he used to always have this statement for me: I'm doing what I have to do, so at least one of us should do what they want to do. And I happened to be the lucky one who landed up doing what she wanted to do, because he was taking care of things that we had to. And the whole idea of the dance fitness, like I told you, I have no formal training in dancing. I don't say that I'm the best dancer or the best teacher, but I think I'm a great dancer. I'm very passionate about dancing. I don't like gym, so for me, my mode of wellness, fitness, workout is cardio, which is dance. I love great music, especially Bollywood and Bhangra. And I am a stickler for wellness in people. I'm always advocating, you know, that because you need to be fit to feel good about yourself, mentally, emotionally, and physically. When you look at yourself in the mirror, a lot of your self-confidence comes from how you feel you're looking, you know. And if you're looking great, your body looks in shape, it inches up a notch of your self-confidence or self-worth somewhere, right? And I'm not saying, you know, we may have medical conditions and because of that, it's not about the weight or your size, but it's about you feeling fit, you feeling well, you not feeling that, oh my God, I'm not working out and that's why my body has become sloppy and lazy. If you are doing everything that you must to keep yourself healthy, that's all that matters, right? And the rest is not something that we need to check on the weighing scale. So I wanted to provide a space for people where they come and have this beautiful experience. So I never thought, I started out of a garage, but I moved into a studio when I went big and I registered the company. My idea was that it should be an experience where they feel the moment they enter, they're in a dance club. There's great loud music, nobody is getting disturbed because it's a commercial space. There's good lighting and they're getting to tap into something that they love, you know, the music that they love, and they're getting to dance and meet like-minded people who share similar interests but come from different walks of life. Get a good workout, lose about 500 to 550 calories so they feel great about the week that they're starting, and at the same time want to keep coming back to it. So the retention has to be there. And all of these were my USPs and all of these were met by the classes I ran, and that's why I had literally 100% retention rate. If somebody came to my dance class, I knew they would only leave it not to go to another class or another instructor, but either because they're moving towns or because they have some work pressure. And you know, the biggest compliment to me has been that there were people, you know, of course, Silicon Valley, so you have people from Cisco, Yahoo, Google, Oracle, and people have traveling jobs. And somebody once told me, she said, I manage my entire week's travel to make sure that I'm back here on Tuesday night so I don't miss your Wednesday class. And that's such a big compliment that somebody is actually working their way around because they don't want to miss that class of yours. And for me also, this was never work. It was of course business and I handled it like, but this was pure joy and a sense of something that I could do endlessly without feeling tired or without getting bored. I mean, you see me even now after 20 years and I'm 46 years old now. I go into a dance class, the moment the music comes on, all the aches, pains, all the stresses of, oh my God, my cook didn't show up today, everything just disappears and I'm just in the zone, in the moment. And that is why I tell everyone who's looking to start a business, don't ever start your business because that's the in thing to do, because it's a fad or because this is an industry that gets funding and you could be start because and so from there I moved to in 2005 back to India. I sold the company And in 2005, we moved to Chennai. I had a baby by then. I re-established the company here, but I kept the choreography rights there. And here, so earlier it was called Steps, and then in Asia it was called Polybeats. I recoined it. 2 years, so Chennai was amazing. Everyone loved my classes. It went on really well. I had some really amazing features in India Today, Femina, Statesman. Everyone was really talking about how the class had changed the way wellness was perceived and practiced. And from there in 2007, I moved to Singapore with my husband's company, with his work. And Singapore was fantastic because by now I already knew exactly how to set up a company and start, right? I had done it twice, so there was no fear. But now I had two young kids. So my son was 2 years old, my daughter was 4 months old. But the beauty of that is within 2 months of landing in Singapore, I had my license, I had started classes, I started to establish my roots, and I had the sense of fulfillment and purpose. Even as a mother, I could still continue with work, right? And that's where one of the most crucial times when a lot of women kind of take a break because they need to balance the personal. And that's why I feel entrepreneurship has been so empowering, because it has allowed me to continue working despite all the different phases that I went through in my life, where I may have had to leave a permanent job otherwise. And so from Singapore, of course, 4 years, it was brilliant. Singapore is actually the country that rooted corporate workshops for us. So for me, I said, how do I take my company to the next level now? So we were already doing the private classes where people would come and enroll. But Singapore as a country places a lot of weightage and importance on corporate wellness. So they have schemes where employees have to go through certain, classes and stuff. And that's when we started introducing our corporate classes in the companies, and they took out really well. And then companies started hiring me to do corporate offsites. So I do this team building workshop, which is actually a combination of putting together everything that you would want, like team bonding, integrity, working together, coming out as a leader, leadership skills, all of that I put together, but use dance as a medium to do team building. And that was something which was very new for corporates. And I think they were so tired of all the number crunching workshops that everyone wanted to give this new workshop a try. So I started to do workshops which range from 1 hour to 5 hours, and do corporate offsites. And that's when I have worked for Nestle, ExxonMobil, you name it. And that's my dog, I'm sorry. So that's it. So you name it, and I worked with all of them. And that really took the company to the next level, and its visibility. I've done all the ministry offices in Singapore, right from the Prime Minister's office to the Central Provident Fund, and done these wellness classes there. After that, in 2011, again, we moved back to India, and this time because we wanted to be closer to the parents, to take care of the aging, both our sides of the parents. For the children's, we wanted to bring them up in this setting. And that's when we launched something, a second company called Needybee. And that me and my husband co-founded together. He was on the business operations and the supply chain side. I was the creative and the marketing brain behind it. In 6 years that we ran Needybee, we won a lot of awards. I think we created a very niche space for ourselves in the kids accessories and market. From First Cry to Hopscotch to Amazon to I think every big store in any city was keeping our products. In 2019, we decided to spin it off because we were at that crossroad where we had to decide whether we want to go with external funding and grow it to the next level and get into stores, offline stores, or we wanted to continue it like a lifestyle brand. And I have never been a very big proponent of taking funding because I feel, nothing comes as a free lunch. When somebody gives you money, they will drive certain decisions of your business. They may even ask you to change the entire business proposition, right? Or the plan that you had in mind. And that's not why I started an entrepreneurial journey. I did it because it makes me have fun. So when we decided to go the way of not taking funding, That's when we said, okay, if you're not going to take funding, then what's the point of continuing it like a lifestyle business? Let's give it to somebody who aspires to take it to the next level and is okay with taking funding or has the funds. And that's when we decided to spin it off, exit out of it, and move on to the next venture, because I call myself a true entrepreneur. For me, the excitement is building businesses from scratch, bringing it to a point where they are cash flow positive, where the revenue model is self-sustainable, and then exit from there and move to the next thing. Because creation excites me. And then I got, my husband moved on to working with a corporate startup firm, and I said, I'll stay in the same space, but now I don't want to start a company because, again, always remember, starting a company is quite exhausting. There's a lot of work. It's not glamorous. There's a lot of work which you may not even be skilled at that you have to do, and that exhausts you. So I said, but I don't want to leave this space because I love it so much. So with all the expertise that I have, all the things that I've learned along the way in a product-based business as well as service, can I amalgamate all of this and actually use this to help others get successful? Because a lot of the startups that I come across, they all start with a passion, right? They have a great idea, but most of them are not business oriented. So they are great with getting the idea and the prototype ready, then they don't know how to sell it. They don't know how to market it. And you can only sustain if you can bring in the money. You will only get external funding when you can show that you can have revenue channels open to yourself, right? And you've been able to generate this. So I said, this is where my expertise comes in, because this is what I do, this is what I love, this is what I'm great at. So I said, this is where I can handhold them, help them create their revenue strategy, and help them now get to the next level. So now I work as a consultant with all the Atal incubation centers across India, many of them. I work with a lot of university incubation centers. I do my own entrepreneurship boot camps, which is for students. So I call it Ideation to Manifestation. So even if you don't have an idea, which is honestly is very hard to do, a lot of people don't know how to ideate, but you have a desire to step into entrepreneurship or the startup world, I have a framework which I've developed that helps you to methodically ideate. Come up with an idea, and then I help you build that idea into a business plan, business strategy. And then on the 15th day of the boot camp, I don't let you go. I make you launch your venture. So what happens is I've given you the wings and I've taught you how to fly. And now how high you soar is up to you, and your willingness and your drive to be able to do it. So I didn't want to just do a boot camp where I've given them the technical skills and the theoretical knowledge and leave them there because they haven't got the push. They won't do it. Out of 80% will drop out at most start. But if I make them launch the venture, I make them do their branding, their naming, they will continue it. There's a higher chance. So that's what I do through my own boot camps. I work with a lot of the in the social sector, NGOs who are making social changes, right? And their startups. How do they monetize? How do they get their funding? So that's been my journey so far of an entrepreneur.
So, ma'am, you set up a company in 2005 in India.
Yeah,
You set up a company in 2011 in India, and now you've
yeah.
moved on to consulting other entrepreneurs. So, how do you think the entrepreneurial landscape in India has changed over the last 15, 16 years? Because I think there have been a many positive changes. But what are your thoughts? I mean, the good and the bad. And what do you think?
So I think one is the biggest change that I see between 2005 to 2011 and now is the acceptance of the word entrepreneurship or startup. So when I came in 2005, nobody was talking about it. Everyone, there were more traditional businesses or people wanting to start standalone businesses. In 2011, with the advent of Amazon entering into India, I think that has created an amazing ecosystem, awareness, and also this sense of it's possible. Because people see that story and they see that it's not that you have to have had inherited a long-term business from a father or forefather to be a businessman today. You can start yesterday and beat every single possible valuation of any traditional business who have been there for 40 years or 100 years, and still make a mark for yourself if you have the idea and the vision to do it and the backing. So now people are a lot more hopeful, they are a lot more driven, and everyone wants to take risk. Earlier in the Indian society, like I told you about my journey, parents were more conservative for their children, right? Go by a traditional way, you're good in studies, so do engineering, do medical, do CA, whatever it is, and take up a job. Now parents have become so open, and it's actually a badge of honor when they're talking about that their child is a founder of a startup. So parents are more open to it, which makes it so much easier for children because they don't have the pressure now. They don't have the pressure that you have to study for IIT exam and you have to go in for a NEET. It's okay if you're trying for something new. The parents have become more forthcoming because they see there's a potential for the child to make it big in their life, right, through this. And also the government. So I think in the last couple of years, 4-5 years, with the new government, Modi's government, I think his advocacy on entrepreneurship, on creating a startup ecosystem which has made it easier for everyone to register a company, to get mentorship, to get funding, to have access to government resources, has been absolutely wonderful. And this is the time everyone needs to get onto the bandwagon and take advantage of it, because you could not have a better time than now to start a company or to ideate and to give that idea away right now. Even for women entrepreneurship, I mean, because I do a lot of work on women entrepreneurship, it's one of my personally areas of interest to I love working with women. In fact, I run a program called Ideation to Manifestation for homemakers, and which is all about so in the startup ecosystem, I feel that students are taken care of, existing entrepreneurs are taken care of, you go into an incubator, anything, but the neglected segment is the homemakers who aspire to do something with their life, who want to do something purposeful with their life, but they don't know how, they don't have the means, they don't have the resources, and nobody is taking them up and saying, okay, I'll help you. So that's where I've stepped up. I've created my own seed fund to help them. I incubate them, I take them through my boot camp, and I help them launch their own small ventures.
So, ma'am, it was extremely wonderful. So I would like to ask, as you talked about the Atal incubation centers, the government initiatives, incubations, and there are many incubation centers in colleges like IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore. There are many subsidiaries of incubation centers. So 5 to 10 years down the lane, as you have many innovation and incubation centers, they are helping students. So what are your aims and visions in the entrepreneurial sector about your startup and the whole entrepreneurial sector?
See, in the next couple of years, I see that a lot more, one, that the ecosystem will become even more robust. It'll become more structured in the way the access of fund is, or in the way trainings happen, or even the subjects that are offered in school and colleges. I think entrepreneurship as a subject, business studies, is going to gain a lot more momentum and visibility, recognition. I think government is going to definitely put a lot more resources, financial as well as training resources, into building entrepreneurship, because that's one of the most empowering way to remove unemployment and to generate employment. So rural entrepreneurship will be big on the agenda. Women entrepreneurship is already big on the agenda, and it will get even bigger, because these are the two sectors that we can really mobilize and contribute towards the GDP. The nation will be at a much better level economically, right? Because right now these are not contributors to the GDP, and if we make them into contributors to GDP, it will change the landscape completely. The existing startups, so you will see that the funding will be there, but it will become more the venture capitalists or the people disbursing the funds will become stricter in terms of the ways in which they disperse the funds, or in the ways that they select the companies. Right now and earlier, you may have seen there's a lot of ride that happens based on an industrial sector success. So right now, if you're in edtech, and I because I do so much work with so many students and entrepreneurs, I just see somebody who's in the agri sector says, "Ma'am, I think I want to change my plan. There's more scope in edtech." Hello, I mean, that's not how things work, right? Because then your creativity won't come into play if you're just moving into edtech because that's the place to be. Because you think that's getting funding, because you think, like people were saying, right? Earlier, there was a time when startups has just started to emerge that people just had their wallets open. Anybody just had to have an idea and they would get money. The same way, right now, people feel that way about edtech. That, oh, if I just say that I'm in the edtech sector, I'll get money. But that will change. People will become more structured in the way they look at companies and they evaluate companies, and that is why I say that the way the startups will have to change their mindset is that they need to become self-sustainable financially first before they even seek funding. They must understand how to use the resources optimally, how to do more with less, and once they've learnt these lessons and the funding comes to them, then they will be in a much better way to use that funding wisely so they can actually scale and grow for value, not for valuation.
Yeah, ma'am, we have talked about, all your entrepreneurial journey, your companies, your vision for the future. On a lighter note, the bio that we read on the internet, through all of this, your companies, your family, your children, you still are an published author, and you find time to, you have interest in adventure sports. So my question to you is, how do you manage it? I mean, honestly, the amount of projects, the amount of things you may be that may be going on at any point of time. How do you find time to, look after yourself and the pursue some hobbies that you may have?
So, that's a really great question because I get a lot of this. Even when I'm in a social, outfit, a lot of women come and ask me, "How do you do this? Like you just said, you cook." So one is, like I told you, I have so many interests in life, and that is why I guess I was never meant for a structured corporate career because I need to satisfy all of those interests to be able to feel fulfilled and happy. And that is why I think entrepreneurship worked for me so well and works for people like me. I call myself a multi-potentialite, that I'm not one of those who just picks one thing and goes after it and till the end of her life she's just doing this. Like I told you, my energy and my excitement comes from growing things from scratch, building it to a level where it's successful, or what I envisioned it to be, and then moving out of it and starting something new. I always like to be in the grind. I love my children. I mean, family is very important to me. I have, for me, balancing all aspects of my roles as a mom, as a daughter, as a daughter-in-law, as a wife, probably that gets shortchanged the most. But all of this is so important to make myself feel that I am doing things right. If even one of them is lopsided, I won't have a sense of well-being. So what I do with my children is, when they were young, like I told you, entrepreneurship allows you to scale up or down. So at that time, I hired more instructors to run the company. I scaled down my amount of work, the number of hours I needed to dedicate to the classes, and I spent a lot of time with my children. And great time, I mean productive time. So like I told you, I don't watch TV, I'm not the kitty party lunching kind of women. And if you don't do all of this, you will have plenty of time in your hand. I love to read books, and I spend a lot of time there, but the times that when I'm not with them or when they are engaged in some class or any of that, that's the time I'm doing work. And because I'm an entrepreneur, my work is flexible. So I can just have a laptop sitting in the playground and still do my work, but be there. I love to, like I said, read, and from there came my desire to write. I love writing content. I love creating content. So that came from there. Adventure sports has been a streak since I was a kid. So I did skydiving when I was 18 years old, and I was the first person to volunteer to jump out of the plane. I've done everything from level 4 river rafting and falling into the mother rapid and then not knowing whether we'll survive it or not, to I don't know what else. I think the only thing I have left is bungee jumping, which I'm hoping I'll do this year or next year. But besides all of this, so I think that gives me rush. If you see when I talk, my personality is about a rush. That I always want to push boundaries. I always want to feel a sense of liberation from what I'm doing, in a sense of that, wow, I could do this. Nothing limits me. And I think that's where the love for adventure sports come. I also have a very strong, I mean, now after coming to India, I realized that because there's this sense of wanting to do something all the time, the only way I can control or ground that is by practicing yoga, meditation, mindfulness. So now I spend a lot of time early in the morning doing that, which kind of just calms me a little bit and makes me little bit more, what should I say, less wanting to run and wanting to just be the way I am. But I just say this to everyone, whether you're a student, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, if we can prioritize things in our lives, then we'll have time to do everything. 12 hours is a very long time in a day. I love to cook. I cook almost every dinner, and I didn't know how to cook till I was, I think, 28 years old. I learned how to cook, and I do a lot of exotic cooking, and that again gives me a lot of joy, and it gives me a sense of peace. I feel creative in the kitchen. It's therapeutic for me. And my daughter, both my kids are entrepreneurs. My son runs a social entrepreneurship venture. My daughter is a baker and she runs a baking company. So I feel that's our bonding time in the kitchen together. When she's baking and I'm doing something, or I'm learning from her, she's learning from me. So, you pick certain things that tick you, that add meaning to your life. And that becomes important, and you'll always find the time to do it. And like I said, if you remove the unnecessary socialization or the need to be out there just because you want to be there, for a sense of being recognized or validation, all that is not there in us. Having lived in so many countries, been there, done that, I think we are very inwardly, both me and my husband, we are very self-content with where we are, who we are, with the set of close friends we have around globally. So we can find our joy and our space of fulfillment within ourselves, in our surroundings. And that's why I am able to do so much. And there's no time in commute. I don't go out.
Nikhil, you are on mute.
Ma'am, I must say the journey, what we have heard so far has been absolutely inspirational. What I want to ask you is, what advice, what pointers would you give to us, budding B school student, budding entrepreneurs, people who are thinking of going into, entrepreneurship? They have some idea, or don't know where to go, how to start. What would be your pointers?
Sure. So the first thing I'll say is that if you are even thinking of entrepreneurship as a career path, or let's start something, it's a great place to be as a student. You guys are so lucky if you're already thinking of it. Why? Because this is the time you are most liberated, free, with the least amount of baggage in your life. You don't have a lot of responsibilities that will start to happen as you move ahead in adulthood. You are nimble. You don't overanalyze. Y'all are more of the driven go-getters. So you won't, like I told you, a lot of analysis also paralyzes us. So in that age group, you have the energy, you have the time, you can do so much, and you want to conquer the world. The drive is there, that I want to make things happen. I can work 20 hours a day, it's okay, I'll sleep less, but I want to make this vision into a reality. And that's a very key component to achieving milestones. Your spirit, your desire, and the way you think is as important as running the business, right? Your spirit. So what I'll tell the students is don't ever think that don't find excuses and tell stories to yourself. That kaise karunga, kaise karungi, I have so much of college work and I have projects to submit. Like I said, if you can reduce your time on your Instagram, on your chit chats that don't add value to your life all the time, if you can reduce the wastage of time that you may be doing in a day, and which only you know where you're wasting your time, I can't pinpoint. If you do that and you spend those 3 hours developing your business plan, working on it, or doing something about it, that 3 hours in a day is enough to make a business start running. In college, the beauty is you're with a group of friends who come with very different skill sets. So you may be a person who's great with finance modeling, right? Who loves numbers, who's conservative, who wants to work with numbers. You have a close friend who's a great tech geek, who can code like nobody's business, who can do. And then you have a friend who's probably like me, who loves to sell and who loves to, just create stories and all of this. So you can find the right co-founders for yourself because you already have a group of people and you know their skill sets from different streams. You can see who you get along with whom your energies match. Bring those heads together and say, hey, why don't we start something together? Then you have your professors who can be your advisors and mentors through whom you can bounce off ideas, who, if they think you have potential, can potentially even help you get incubated or get you funding or whatever. So the visibility can be huge. All the testing that you need to do to validate your idea and to create the opportunity for it can all happen in college days, where you've tested, you've created, you've done everything, and the moment you're in your final year, you're ready to launch because now you know you can put 12 to 15 hours of your time into the venture. So your job within the college framework should be to build it to a level where it's ready to launch the day you leave college. And that's where you can really, really take advantage of these college days. Don't waste them. Don't waste them in doing things that later on will be forgotten. If you have to utilize that time, whether that startup goes anywhere or not, utilize it doing something that ticks your brain, that motivates you to think bigger than what you think you're capable of, which helps you to stimulate yourself and think differently and give it a shot, because we don't always get a lot of chances in life and opportunities. And you never want to sit with the regret कि यार उस time कर लेना चाहिए था. Now is the time, go ahead, do it. Don't think of the consequences, because the consequences will never be bad. You will only come out as a bigger learner, and you have the reward ratio to the risk ratio. This is your risk, this is the reward, is way higher. So take the leap of faith and do it.
Well, that was quite inspirational. I hope the budding entrepreneurs, those who have zeal of entrepreneurship, will take information from this. The final question is, how does your current venture, the Self Achievers, is helping those who have that zeal to be an entrepreneur, those who have the secret entrepreneur hidden in them, to find their ways out and achieve their goals?
So like I was telling you, the entire self-achievers model rotates around the ecosystem of entrepreneurship and business. So there are different programs that I run. There are the boot camps that I run. Like I said, 15 days ideation to launching your venture. And in those 15 days, if you have a spark in yourself, but you're not sure if this idea is good enough to be validated, if you don't even have an idea, but you just say कि मुझे भी एक startup शुरू करना है, it's right for those people to come in, because in 15 days you have a very clear vision of what it is all about, right? So that's where I'm the educator, I'm the trainer. I take you through it. I help you make your business plan, because it's what I've done all my life. And I help you launch it, because I know that if I leave you midway, you may not take the last step of launching. So I even make you do that while you're with me. And then you can continue taking, signing up for business coaching with me, so that there is somebody who's always showing you the vision, the roadmap, right? Who is an overarching advisor for your venture and can help you get to the next level. What I do secondly for this is people who already have come up with an idea, but they don't have the business acumen, or they don't understand the business aspects of creating a business, how to make their business plan. I help them, and they come to incubators or they come to me for business coaching, and they sign up separately, and I help them create the entire business pitch deck. So, and every aspect of the business pitch deck, whether it's revenue modeling, financial modeling, product offerings, is a lot of thoughtful brainstorming, which helps you to come up with those answers. Okay, yeah, I can do this, this, this. I'm only helping you seek it and put it down and give shape to it, right? So that's one way. My third is, like I told you, my personal mission is to convert 10,000 homemakers into business women in the next 10 years. And homemakers is a segment that is very close to my heart, because I feel it's an untouched, and nobody's helping them, but they have aspirations. So Dainik Bhaskar, published an article about my work about converting on homemakers into entrepreneurs. In the first day of that article being read, and it was in Hindi, and I think they have a huge circulation in North India, there were about 100 calls that I got from women from Ratlam and from Byawar and from smaller cities saying, ma'am, मैंने आपका article पढ़ा, I'm 40 years old or 57 years old or 23 years old, I have kids, और मैं कुछ नहीं करती हूँ पर मैं कुछ करना चाहती हूँ. I want to do something with my life. And that's when I realized, oh my God, this market is ready to be tapped into, but there is nobody helping them. So they don't even know where to go. They don't know how to seek an incubator. They don't have an idea what to do, but they have the desire to do it. So can I help them, right? That is one. And and of course, working with bigger platforms like your UN Women, like you have a lot of the Seva Foundation, a lot of them who are doing work in the area of entrepreneurship and need people like me who are passionate about the subject, who have certain skill sets and expertise, and who can help their cause to get to a next level through my work or my contribution. So that's what I do with Self Achievers. Of course, the part where I run my own entrepreneurship boot camps and the training camps, that's an edtech model. So that runs separately, and that's the model that helps me to fund my other social ventures.
Yeah.